I'm going to ask you to do something. Whatever you do, don't imagine it. Don't imagine someone standing behind you. Don't picture a pair of eyes staring into the back of your head. Don't imagine cold breath touching your neck. Too late. The moment you imagined it, you fed him. There is something older than every civilization, older than every religion, older than every nightmare ever whispered around a campfire. It has no body, no face, no name, cannot enter our world by force. Someone has to imagine it first. Every terrifying image your mind creates, every hateful fantasy, every violent thought you wish you never had, becomes another piece of it. It grows stronger one thought at a time. Most people never realize they've helped it. They wake at exactly 1 a.m., convinced they only suffered another nightmare. A man bolts upright in bed, unable to breathe. Deep claw marks slowly carve themselves across his bedroom wall. A faceless figure stands motionless at the edge of an endless black dream. At sunrise, another body is discovered outside a forgotten mountain village, covered in wounds no animal could have made. Villagers scream as yet another person disappears before dawn. Hidden deep inside the surrounding forest, an ancient shrine waits beneath rotting black cloth. And miles away, a young traveler stares down at blood dripping from his trembling hands. He has no memory of where he's been, no memory of what he's done. Only one nightmare, repeating every single night. This isn't the story of a monster. It's the story of the thoughts that imagined one into existence. And now, it's imagining us. The young traveler was named Ethan. For months he had wandered forgotten mountain trails with nothing more than a weathered backpack, a camera, and an endless curiosity for places other travelers ignored. Just before sunset, he reached a village so isolated it wasn't marked on any map. At first it looked peaceful. Children laughed as they chased one another between small wooden homes. Smoke drifted lazily from stone chimneys. Old men sat outside carving pieces of wood while women prepared the evening meal. It looked untouched by the modern world. Then the sun dipped behind the mountains. Everything changed. Parents rushed outside and pulled their children indoors. Doors slammed shut one after another. Wooden shutters were bolted across every window. Even the dogs stopped barking. The silence arrived so suddenly that Ethan felt it more than he heard it. When he asked the innkeeper what everyone was afraid of, the man forced an uneasy smile. "We simply don't stay outside after dark." No explanation followed. Later that evening, Ethan noticed an elderly woman sitting alone outside her house, staring into the forest as though expecting someone to emerge from the trees. As he walked past, she grabbed his wrist with surprising strength. Her fingers were like ice. Her pale eyes locked onto his. "If someone calls your name tonight," she whispered, "don't answer." Before Ethan could respond, another villager hurried over, visibly shaken. "And whatever happens," he said quietly, "don't go near the shrine." Neither of them would explain why. Moments later, they disappeared indoors, locking the doors behind them. Ethan laughed to himself. Every isolated village had its ghost stories. He assumed this was just another one. That night, sleep refused to come. The wind brushed softly through the pine trees outside his window. Then, just after midnight, he heard a voice. "Ethan." His heart stopped. He knew that voice. His mother. She had died 5 years earlier. "Ethan, please, help me." The voice drifted from somewhere deep inside the forest. Every warning returned to him. "Don't answer. Don't go near the shrine." But grief is louder than reason. Without thinking, Ethan grabbed his flashlight, opened the cabin door, and followed the voice into the darkness. It never grew louder. It never sounded farther away. It simply remained ahead of him, gently leading him deeper between the towering pines. The farther Ethan walked, the stranger the forest became. The wind vanished. The insects fell silent. Even the leaves overhead stopped moving. It was as though the forest itself had forgotten how to breathe. Only Ethan's footsteps remained. Then, even they became strangely quiet. He suddenly realized something impossible. He couldn't hear his own breathing anymore. The silence wasn't empty. It felt alive, watching him, waiting. The voice finally stopped. Ahead lay a small clearing. At its center stood an ancient stone shrine that looked older than the mountain itself. Long strips of faded black cloth hung from its roof, gently swaying despite the still air. Every stone was covered with strange symbols. Thousands of scratches scarred the surface. As Ethan stepped closer, he realized they weren't scratches. They were words, the same sentence, carved over and over until there was no room left. Do not imagine him. Do not imagine him. Do not imagine him. The warning surrounded him from every direction. The air suddenly became heavy. Every breath felt difficult. His heartbeat slowed. A strange feeling settled inside his chest. Not fear, recognition, as though something inside the shrine had been waiting for him long before he was born. Every instinct told him to run. Instead, he stepped closer. The entrance was swallowed by absolute darkness. No moonlight reached inside. No sound escaped. Slowly, Ethan leaned forward and looked into the shrine. He saw nothing, only endless blackness. For one nervous second, he almost laughed. Then, two white eyes slowly opened. They didn't glow. They simply watched. Unblinking, impossible. The voice returned, but this time, it didn't come from the forest. It came from somewhere inside his own mind. And it whispered, "Now, dream about me." Ethan had no memory of leaving the forest. One moment he was staring into those impossible white eyes. The next, he awoke in his bed just before sunrise, drenched in sweat. His boots were covered in fresh mud. His flashlight was gone. Beneath his fingernails, black earth was packed so tightly it looked as though he had spent the entire night digging with his bare hands. He convinced himself it had all been exhaustion, a nightmare born from grief and old village superstitions. By evening, he almost believed it, until he fell asleep. He found himself standing inside an endless black field. There was no moon, no stars, no wind, no sound, only darkness stretching forever. Far away stood a single figure. It was impossibly tall. Its arms reached almost to the ground, while shadows drifted across its body like living smoke. Where its face should have been, there was only smooth white skin. No eyes, no mouth, no nose. Yet Ethan knew it was staring directly at him. Neither moved. The silence became unbearable. Then, without taking a single step, the figure spoke. Not through the air, inside Ethan's mind. "Think about hurting someone." Ethan woke with a violent gasp. The room was empty, yet the whisper lingered long after he opened his eyes. The following day seemed determined to test him. A merchant falsely accused him of stealing. A farmer shoved him aside without apologizing. People who had greeted him with smiles now watched him with quiet suspicion. By afternoon, a young man deliberately knocked Ethan's backpack into the dirt before laughing in his face. For one brief moment, Ethan imagined grabbing him by the throat. The image lasted only a second. Ashamed, he apologized instead and walked away. He believed the thought meant nothing. That night, the dream returned. The black field hadn't changed. The figure had. It was closer. Close enough that Ethan could see a long smile carved across its featureless face. No lips, no teeth, only a smile. The creature slowly tilted its head, almost proud. Then Ethan realized something horrifying. It wasn't walking toward him. Every hateful thought, Every burst of anger, every violent image he tried to bury, was pulling it closer. The figure raised one impossibly long hand, pointed directly at him, and whispered, "Again. Imagine it again." Ethan woke screaming. Outside, the old church bell echoed through the village. One slow chime. It was exactly 1 a.m. From that night forward, Ethan stopped fearing the dreams. He began fearing his own thoughts. Whenever anger appeared, he forced himself to smile. Whenever frustration crept into his mind, he buried it before it could grow. He avoided conversations, avoided arguments, avoided people, because every dark thought felt like another meal for the thing waiting inside his dreams. But the harder he resisted, the louder the whispers became. They followed him while he walked, while he ate, even while he prayed. "He deserves it. No one would blame you. It's only a thought." Whenever Ethan fought them, the voice offered something darker. Sleep became impossible, yet exhaustion always won. Every night he returned to the endless black field. Every night the figure stood closer. The smile widened. His body became more human, and for the first time, his white eyes opened. The same impossible eyes waiting inside the shrine, watching, hungry. Then came the 7th night. The church bell rang. 1 o'clock. Ethan's eyes opened, but he wasn't awake. Something else was looking through them. A sharp crack echoed through the room. His fingers twisted backward before snapping into place. His spine bent unnaturally. His jaw stretched far beyond what any human body should allow. When he finally stood, his movements were slow, awkward, like something learning to wear a man. His eyes had become completely black. Without making a sound, he stepped into the night. Morning brought horror. A shepherd was found dead beyond the tree line. His body had been torn apart by wounds no animal could have made. Beside him, carved into the earth, were 4 words: "Do not imagine him." The next night, another villager disappeared. Then another. Each sunrise revealed another body. Each victim bore deep claw marks. Each body faced the forest. Panic spread through the village. Parents locked their children indoors before sunset. The elders whispered that something ancient had awakened beneath the trees. Still, no one suspected Ethan. Every morning he awoke exhausted, confused, heartbroken by the deaths. He searched alongside everyone else. He mourned with the grieving families. He truly believed he was innocent, because every night had been erased from his memory. Until one stormy evening, a widow looked through her bedroom window after hearing footsteps outside. Standing in the rain was a man. She couldn't see his face, but she recognized the worn backpack, the jacket, the way he walked. The next morning, she described the stranger to the village elders. The description matched only one person. For the first time, the villagers stopped hunting whatever lived inside the forest. They started watching Ethan. From that night forward, Ethan was never truly alone. The villagers watched him from a distance. Some followed him through the marketplace. Others took turns watching the cabin where he slept. No one dared accuse him, but no one trusted him anymore. When the next night came, nearly 20 men surrounded his cabin before the church bell struck 1 a.m. The bell rang. They rushed inside. The bed was empty. The windows were locked. The door had never opened. There was nowhere he could have gone. Yet Ethan had vanished. The same thing happened the following night, and the night after that. Every trap failed. Every ambush arrived too late. Whatever lived inside him always knew they were coming. Panic consumed the village. Families barricaded themselves inside their homes before midnight. Still, the killings continued. Bodies appeared with deep claw marks no animal could have made. Each victim was arranged facing the forest. Burned into every chest was the same ancient symbol carved across the forgotten shrine. The oldest villagers whispered a name that had not been spoken for generations. The Dream Bearer, a person whose mind no longer belonged to themselves. Knowing ordinary weapons were useless, the village elder sent riders into the mountains to find the only man said to understand the ancient shrine. A blind sorcerer, older than anyone alive. The old man arrived before sunset. Without greeting anyone, he walked directly into the forest. When he reached the shrine, he stopped several steps away. For nearly a minute, he listened to the silence. Then he spoke. The shrine never imprisoned a demon. The villagers exchanged confused glances. It imprisoned an idea. He turned toward the darkness. There are creatures that feed on flesh. There are spirits that feed on souls. But this feeds on imagination. It has no body until someone imagines one. It has no face until someone wonders what it looks like. Every hateful fantasy, every violent impulse, every cruel thought built the thing waiting beneath this shrine. The villagers stared in horror. You believe the boy released it? The old man slowly shook his head. No. He imagined it alive. The warning carved across the shrine had never been meant to keep people away. It had been meant to keep people from thinking about it at all. Because every person who imagined the creature made it stronger. The sorcerer raised his hand toward Ethan. He is the doorway, and only the doorway can choose to close. Just before midnight, the villagers returned to the shrine. At exactly 1 a.m., the sorcerer struck the ground with his staff. The ancient symbols blazed crimson. The earth split apart. Black smoke erupted from beneath the shrine. The forest shook as thousands of whispers filled the air. Every hateful thought, every violent dream, every cruel imagination rose together until they became a single voice. Then it appeared, a towering figure of living darkness. Thousands of silent human faces twisted beneath its skin. His white eyes settled upon Ethan. For one brief moment, the darkness loosened its grip. Ethan collapsed to his knees. He looked at the terrified villagers, the grieving families, the blood staining the earth. His voice barely escaped his lips. How many? The old sorcerer lowered his head. Enough! Ethan closed his eyes. Then he stood. This time, every step belonged to him. The creature reached for him. But Ethan never looked back. He walked into the shattered shrine. The demon screamed. The ground erupted. The black smoke folded inward. The towering figure was dragged back into the darkness. The shrine collapsed into itself. The whispers stopped. The forest became silent. When the dust settled, Ethan was gone. The villagers believed the nightmare had finally ended. They were wrong. Months passed. Life slowly returned to normal. Children laughed in the streets again. The forest stood silent. The ruined shrine disappeared beneath vines and fallen stone. No one spoke Ethan's name anymore. Then one night, at exactly 1 a.m., a little girl suddenly sat upright in bed. She ran into her parents' room, trembling. Her mother wrapped her in her arms. It was only a nightmare, she whispered. The little girl slowly shook her head. No, there was a man in my dream. Her mother's smile faded. What did he want? The child stared into the darkness behind her, as though someone else stood there listening. Then she answered. He asked me if I could imagine what he looked like. The room fell silent. Outside, the wind stopped. The screen faded to black. Then, one final whisper drifted through the darkness. As long as someone imagines me, I never truly leave.